uttermost part of heaven. Now who does that fit? There's your Latin tribes right there. The uttermost part of heaven is where? North America and South America.
Yep.
That's the uttermost part of heaven. That right there proves that those Latin tribes are part of the nation of Israel.
That's right.
They were scattered unto the uttermost part of heaven. Where's the uttermost part of heaven? You that don't want to accept that the Latin tribes are part of the nation of Israel, where's the uttermost part of heaven? You tell us. All right? The uttermost part of heaven is North America and South America.
That's right.
And if you can't tell us, then you ain't got no business speaking, man. You ain't got no business talking. All right? You don't want to accept that the tribe of Issachar is the so-called Mexicans.
Right.
But you can't convincingly tell us who they are. Amazing, man. I don't know if you want to chime in on that. Tune in on that.
Yeah. You know, I
If you're looking for a place on a globe, the main directions, north, east, south, and west, can be a big help. Of course, you have to understand some basics before you can use those directions. First, south is always pointed toward the South Pole on globes, and predictably, north is always pointed toward the North Pole. When the globe is positioned so that the North Pole is located at the top, which is generally the case, north is up, south is down, west is to the left, and east is to the right. North, west, south, and east are known as the cardinal directions. Directions can be important when you need to find a place on a globe. If, for example, you have to find Copenhagen, Denmark, and you know where Tripoli, Libya is, and you've been told that Copenhagen is north of Tripoli, you would merely move your finger up, northward, toward the North Pole until it runs into Copenhagen.
You cast out unto the uttermost part of heaven. Now who does that fit? There's your Latin tribes right there. The uttermost part of heaven is where? North America and South America.
Yep.
That's the uttermost part of heaven. So none of you out there can boast, all right? And those of you that are boasting, I want to see your papers which certify 100% that you're an Israelite, since you like to boast. Why don't you make a video, those of you that don't want to accept a guy because of the way he looks, why don't you make a video and prove to us, it's not written prove all things, make a video and prove to us you got documents and papers that your ancestors came off the slave ships.
That's right.
All right? They came directly off the slave ship.
And that those that were brought here came directly from Jerusalem.
Yeah.
You know, show your pedigree.
Yeah, exactly. And just don't go back to the slave ships. That's right. Go back all the way to the diaspora.
That's right.
See if you can produce records that go all the way back to 70 AD. You can't do it.
That's right.
All right? So there's no room for boasting of Israel. So really, in reality, we're the biggest nation. There are more Israelites than there are any other nation. All right?
That's right.
And one thing you brothers got to understand is not all Israel is going to look like so-called Negroes. Not all Israel is going to look like the premier tribe, which is the tribe of Judah. What is the look of the tribe of Judah? Very, very dark skin.
Like we can honestly say up here in GMS, we can honestly say that we're scholars, because we can deal with the scholars, the so-called historians, the so-called biblical experts of Yale, and Yale and what's the other one? Harvard. All right. By the way, we used to speak right in.
Israel. So really, in reality, we're the biggest nation. There are more Israelites than there are any other nation. Right?
Right.
And one thing you brothers got to understand is not all Israel is going to look like so-called Negroes. Not all Israel is going to look like the premier tribe, which is the tribe of Judah. What is the look of the tribe of Judah? Very, very dark skin and white woolly, or woolly hair. If, if he's older, he'll be white.
Yeah.
But